Good morning, students. Welcome again in political science class. We are doing chapter 1, Constitution, Why and How. In our last class, we have discussed why do we need constitution, and then we find out the three functions of constitution. The first function of constitution was to provide a set of basic rules. The second function we have studied is to specify who has the power to make decision in a society and how the government will be constituted. And the third function we have studied is to set some limits on government. Now today we will try to find out what is the fourth function of constitution. Dear student, most of the older constitution limited themselves just to allocating decision making power and setting some limits to government power. But many 20th century constitution, of which the Indian constitution is the finest example, provide an enabling framework for the government to do certain positive things to express the aspiration and goals of the society. So, constitution provides a framework to express the aspiration and goals of the society. The Indian constitution was particularly innovative in this respect. Societies with deep entrenched inequalities of various kind will not only have to set limits on the power of government, they will also have to enable and empower the government to take positive measures to overcome form of inequality or deprivation. Before independence, our leaders promised the citizen to remove inequalities that is prevailing in the society. India aspires to be a society that is free of caste discrimination. Indian peoples, Indian citizens aspires to be a society that is free of caste discrimination. If this is our society's aspiration, the government will have to be enabled or empowered to take all the necessary steps to achieve this goal. In a country like South Africa, which had a deep history of racial discrimination, its new constitution had to enable the government to end racial discrimination. More positively, a constitution may enshrine the aspiration of a society. So, in a constitution, it shows the aspiration of society. The framers of Indian constitution thought that each individual in society should have all that is necessary for them to lead a life of minimal dignity and social self-respect. There were in the minds of constitution maker to provide the citizen a dignityful life a social life full of self-respect, to provide minimum material well-being, education, etc. The Indian Constitution enables the government to take positive welfare measures, some of which are legally enforceable. Such enabling provisions have the support of the preamble to our Constitution, and these provisions are found in the section of fundamental rights too, and the directive principle of state policy also enjoin government to fulfill certain aspiration of the people. So here we see the fourth function of a constitution is to enable the government to fulfill the aspiration of a society and create condition for a just society. Now we have seen all the four functions of our constitution, and thus we need constitution in a democratic country. Finally, and perhaps even most importantly, a constitution expresses the fundamental identity of a people. That means the people as a collective entity come into being only through the basic constitution. It is by agreeing to a basic set of norms about how one should be governed and who should be governed that one form a collective identity. Means the constitution provide basic set of norms that how one should be governed and who should be governed, and that makes our collective identity. One has many sets of identities that exist prior to a constitution. Before making and before implementing a constitution, everyone has several identities. But by agreeing to certain basic norms and principles, one constitutes one's basic political identity. The Constitution sets authoritative constraint upon what one may or may not do. So it defines the fundamental values that we may not trespass. So the Constitution also gives us a moral identity. Second, constitutional norms are the overarching framework within which one pursues individual aspirations, goals, and freedoms. The Constitution sets authoritative constraint upon what one may or may not do. It defines the fundamental values that we may not trespass. So, the Constitution gives a moral identity. Then third and finally, it may be the case that many basic political and moral values are now shared across different constitutional traditions. All differ in many respects. In the form of government, they enjoin in many procedural details, but they also share a good deal. Most modern constitutions create a form of government that is a democratic in some respect. Most claim to protect certain basic rights, but constitutions are different in the way they embody conceptions of natural identity. Most nations are an amalgamation of a complex set of historical tradition. They weave together the diverse group that reside within the nation in different ways. For example, German identity was constituted by being ethnically German. German identity was constituted who were ethnically German with blue eyes and broad shoulder, white color. They constituted ethnically German. The constitution gave expression to this identity. The Indian constitution, on the other hand, does not make ethnic identity a criterion for citizenship. Different nations embody different conception of what the relationship between the different region of a nation and a central government should be. This relationship constitutes the national identity of a country. So student, today we have seen all the four functions of constitution and fundamental identity that constitution provides to its citizens. Now we have to check the authority of a constitution. If there is any constitution in a country, how much it is authoritative. And just to check this, we have to put three questions. First is, what is constitution? Then, how effective is a constitution? And third, is a constitution just? So, there are three questions to check the authority of a constitution. In most countries, constitution is a compact document that comprises a number of articles about the state, specifying how the state is to be constituted and what norms it should follow. So, in most of the countries, constitution comprises so many provisions. When we ask for the constitution of a country, we are usually referring to this document, but some countries like United Kingdom, for instance, do not have one single document that can be called the constitution. India is having largest written constitution, but on the other hand, United Kingdom do not have any single document that can be called constitution. Rather, they have a series of documents and decisions that taken collectively are referred to as constitution. So, we can say that constitution is the document or set of documents that seeks to perform the function that we mentioned above. But many constitutions around the world exist only on paper. They are mere words existing on a paper. The crucial question is, how effective is a constitution? If constitution is effective, then only it can be valued and given respect. So, the question is, how effective is a constitution? What makes it effective? and what ensures that it has a real impact on the lives of people. So there are many factors that make a constitution effective. So we will discuss what makes a constitution effective in our next class. Hope you have understood today's chapter, today's topic, and if there is any problem, you can ask me. Thank you and have a nice day.